everyone, and good morning. My name is Dillmuth, and today I would love to tell you about my passion, which is about cold seeps in marine biology. So under the sea, there is something very interesting. Let's watch this video.
Over half a mile down, at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico, they came across what appeared to be an underwater lake, over 20 meters long, with its own sandy shore. Around its edge, there even seemed to be a tide line. But this couldn't be, of course. This was underwater. In fact, the lapping edge was created by a thick soup of salty brine, far heavier than the surrounding seawater, and the sand was made up of hundreds of thousands of mussels. Once again, in the midst of a totally barren seabed, an extraordinarily rich oasis of life, totally independent of the sun's energy. The source of energy this time was not sulfides, but methane bubbling out of the seabed. And once again, the mussels carried special bacteria capable of fixing the methane's energy. Just like the hot vents, a complete ecosystem had developed based on the bacteria. There was an enormous variety of completely new species: shrimps, weird squat lobsters, and bright red polychaete worms. These oases were called cold seeps and were surprisingly similar to the hot vents. The geological processes in the sea floor that produce methane also tend to result in the release of hydrogen sulfides. It was hardly surprising then when, not far from the brine pool, they found tube worms. Extensive fields of tube worms.
Okay, so as you may have noticed in the video, there is something called methane. And in the picture on the left, there is some methane coming out from the ocean floor. Maybe it's hard to tell, but methane is basically just a harmful gas, but for cold seeps, it's very beneficial. So these are also called brine pools, and it looks like an underwater lake. Why is this? It's because it's very salty. And if you think about it, the ocean is already really, really salty. So you can just imagine how salty the cold seep would be. So naturally, these two waters don't mix. As I mentioned, all the organisms there rely on the methane coming out from the ocean floor. So also the mussels and the tube worms rely on the methane. And I bet you're wondering how this is formed, since it's so unique, strange, and even weird. So it's actually formed by the ground moving underneath the ocean. And I also think that if God has created these beautiful cold seeps, then there must be some good thing and benefit for us. So as you can see in this picture, there is the methane underneath the ocean, and the gas is coming out from it. So there is something called cold seep carbonate, other words, just rock formations in the ocean, which is one of the benefits. Limestone is formed, or just a rock. But one of the more amazing things that really amazed me was reefs. As you can see, reefs are so beautiful, and as many of you may or may not know if you've been snorkeling or scuba diving before, is that reefs are really beautiful and have a rich biodiversity of life. But unfortunately, there has been some pollution lately. So people are taking oil from under the ocean and extracting it from the ground because they want to use it. But that's not good for the ocean. It's harming all the marine life. Also, ocean acidification, which is where carbon dioxide goes into the ocean and harms it by destroying the beautiful reefs, which I have just shown you. So, this is what happens to turtles, for example, underneath the ocean. People are littering, and it falls into the ocean, strangling the animals and killing them. So, for example, this is the plastic from cans, from soda cans that have fallen into the ocean. And turtles, they think that it's food, so they eat it, or they at least try to, and this turtle is getting his stomach and intestines squeezed together. So we need to find a way to save these cold seeps. So for example, we can recycle the plastic in the ocean and use less carbon dioxide, but of course, people have been trying to do this for a long time and it hasn't really been working. So there's actually a day, April 22nd, called Earth Day, where you can go out and recycle and pick up the trash so it does not go into the ocean and it won't harm the animals or the cold seeps and kill them. So if we have a healthier environment, it means a healthier ocean. And I remember when I was a kid back in my home state of Maine, I would used to go around and do the same thing, pick up trash on April 22nd. And then afterwards, there would be a barbecue at the church. So I suggest that you always pick up your trash, even if it's not yours, just anyone's, so it won't have a chance of falling into the ocean and killing the animals. So this, as I mentioned, is my passion for marine biology, and I would really like to learn more about this in the future if I can use some more scientific technologies to find about clothes seeps. So please help the ocean and the environment, and please help my passion grow. Thank you so much.